you've got the mic, so I think you can still pick it up though from here. And so hi, this is Trish Mendenhall, who is going to talk a little bit about this wonderful sculpture, the Deposition, taken down from the cross, by Livia Pepini de Kusic, Hungarian-born Italian sculptor. And this is a recent donation from the Mendenhalls, and we thank you very much. Trish.
You're very welcome. In the fall of 1976, I was living in the Pensione Tornabuoni Biaci in the heart of Florence, Italy. Through a family friend, I had the opportunity and the privilege of studying with two accomplished artists that lived in the area. Nick Krachina, a painter and printmaker of Russian origin, was raised in Poland and educated in America. His studio, which was located in a village called Tavernuzzi in the hills outside of Florence, was originally the studio of the Renaissance painter Ghirlandaio. The view of the Tuscan landscape was breathtaking. The other artist was a Hungarian-born sculptor named Livia de Kusic Pepini. She was born in Budapest in 1898. She is the creator of the bronze sculpture of the Deposition of Christ that now lives on a table behind the baptismal font in this lovely church. Livia left her native Hungary to study sculpture in a number of notable academies throughout Europe. The most influential was the Royal Academy in Rome, where she studied with the sculptor Arturo Dazzi and with Professor Roberto Pepini of the University of Florence. She later married Pepini and they lived in Florence. Livia Pepini's work was exhibited in the Royal Academy of London and in various exhibitions in Paris, Copenhagen, Budapest, Madrid, Washington, Venice at the Biennale, Rio de Janeiro, Milan, and Florence. Currently, her work is held in museums and private collections throughout the world. Before her studio was bombed and her work destroyed in World War II, she created a number of monumental works that were displayed throughout Italy. After a period of crippling depression, she went back to work creating sculptures on a smaller scale and teaching. In the late 1960s, following Roberto Pepini's death, she became the first artist in residence at Northwood University in Michigan, where she taught and lectured on campus and in the surrounding communities. While there, she was influential in developing early arts programming and was a vital part of the community. She also led workshops in other United States cities. Livia Pepini died on December 20th, 1976 in Florence. I was at home for Christmas in Point Clear, Alabama, when a friend called to tell me that my beloved teacher had died. I had only 3 months under her tutelage, yet was profoundly influenced by her strong, gentle character, her talent, creativity, and accomplishments. Her studio was located in a piazza on the other side of the Arno River from the Pension. I would walk across the Ponte Vecchio in the morning, anticipating the wisdom she would impart that day. She worked in a figurative yet impressionistic style that was full of motion and expression, as you can see in her Deposition. This piece is a study for a larger sculptor that, as far as I know, was never realized. I worked on several pieces there in her studio with her. She was always gracious, warm, and encouraging, but was strict and firm in her principles and teaching methods. Ever disciplined, she taught me the habit of cleaning up my tools and work area at the end of the day so as to be ready to get right to work the next morning, a practice I continue to this day regardless of the medium I am working in. During my time in Livia's studio, she was working on a portrait of a Cairn Terrier named Katie, who belonged to her friend Malcolm McBride, an American who had lived in Florence for many years. She died having started but not completed the piece. I received a frantic call from Malcolm, who insisted that as Livia's student, I was the only person who could finish the portrait of his beloved Katie. So he and Katie came to the studio to sit for me, and eventually, with blood, sweat, and tears on my part, Katie was accomplished. He had the clay sculpture cast in bronze and gave me a copy for doing the work. Some years later, when I was living in Washington, D.C., I received a call in the middle of the night from an utterly distraught Malcolm McBride. He wanted me to know that his faithful and loving companion had died, and that her bronze portrait that Livia had begun and I had completed would mark her grave. So that is the story of the deposition of Christ that is now living in our midst. I am very happy that it is a home here at Grace Church. I am certain that Livia Papini is somewhere, pleased that her work resides in such a warm and welcoming place. Thank you.
Any questions? So I want to hear a little more about that time. How old were you when you were living as an art student in Florence?
I was about 26.
26. They must have been fun years.
It was fun. I was there
How
for
long
about
were
a
you
year.
About a year?
And lived in the pension and studied in Tavernuzzi printmaking with Nick Kratchina, who was a lovely and very interesting man, and with Livia Papini in Florence. So.
Now, you've described her as a warm and welcoming teacher.
She was just lovely. She just had this wonderful spirit about her and loved her work and was very exacting in her work, but she was also very warm and gracious in her personality and encouraging and was wonderful to work with.
Now, did she, obviously a portrait of a dog, but also I've seen other works online of hers that are religious.
Yeah, she did a variety of
it. Religious?
No, it was just part of her overall body of work.
So was the deposition, as far as you know, done for a particular commission or just?
No, I don't know. After she died, I was distraught because I was sort of lost. I was there studying with her, and she was wonderful. And I was in Florence and not quite sure what to do with myself, and I wanted a piece of hers. And this was the only piece that I could get. So I had it somehow, I don't remember, got it to Washington, D.C., and here it is. So it's been with me since 1976.
Is that a common theme in art, as far as you know, the bringing
I
down
think so.
of Jesus?
Yeah, I think so. Or in earlier years, it may be not contemporary, but certainly in earlier years it was.
So tell me what's going on in that a little more. What do you see?
Well, I see the women are weeping and getting this man here is getting him down, and they're supporting one another. And this woman is kneeling here on the ground. They're obviously grieving and distraught at the death, but are taking care of their teacher.
So there's a lot going on. We see 4 women, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Almost making a ascending circle, spiral, with the 2 men, here actually kind of in the process of lifting him off, and he's still secured somehow by this drape.
Yeah, it comes
but
around
it's almost
back
down.
here.
Very poignant, as you see. It strikes me as very active, like as caught in a moment where there's movement and there's weeping, and you can almost hear it as they bring her down.
And that was characteristic of her work. I mean, it was all very active and emotional and moving. There was always motion in what she did.
What is the date on this? Do we know?
The date, I don't know that.
Was this something kind of in her workshop? So toward the end of her life?
So it was toward the end of her life. It was after 1945 because the studio was bombed and everything was destroyed.
And then she died in 76?
76, so it was probably in the 50s sometime.
50s. There's online a large Madonna that was actually realized in monumental scale.
She did a lot of monumental work before.
Madonna de Misericordia, the Mother of Sorrows, and I don't know. It's in a convent, I think, or some. I forget where it said it was, but
Yeah.
it has a piece in that piece. It has a artisan with a pneumatic hammer working on this
yeah.
stuff in the larger scale.
Yeah, yeah.
Here in this scale, she's working with clay, and then this would be cast. How is it made?
This would be clay and then cast in bronze.
So this was already cast.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, it wasn't a clay piece.
No, it was clay and then cast.
But by the time you saw it,
By the time I saw it, it was like
had been
this.
cast.
Yes,
and,
exactly.
And put on
Exactly.
this base.
This base.
And by the way, this is heavy. This is
I would imagine.
two of us, to lift it and move it. It's a substantial piece. We've placed it underneath the window in the back, which is a memorial window for a daughter of the Mrs. Flint, who was one of the Wing children of John D. and Catherine Wing. And in front of the baptismal font, which says, "The children are, welcome to come unto me," flanked by a couple of saints and candle holders and so on. And it seems like a nice setup.
Yeah, it looks at home
to
there.
hold her, to hold this scene. And so we reflect, on a scene of sorrow, on a scene of death, and yet it's surrounded by the angels trumpeting the ascended and triumphant cross, just as we have behind the altar. So we never despair even in this moment, although this moment reminds us that death, is very painful and real and weighs
Embodied.
and it is embodied. Yeah, this is not just an idea of death.
Right. This is the real thing.
This is the real thing. Well, thank you so much for the gift.
Well,
on behalf of
thank
Grace
you
Church
for having it. It makes me very happy for it to be here.
Well, thank you. And that's all for this portion of the show. But if you all want